Mike, in today's second day of a 48-hour general strike, 3 people were killed according to authorities. And with just days to go until the election, President Maduro called on opposition leaders to engage in a dialogue with him. He has also banned any type of protest or political propaganda for the next 5 days. It's day 2 of a 48-hour general strike in Venezuela. Streets across the country are barricaded and deserted, and businesses are shuttered as millions of people continue to observe the strike. The protest was organized to put pressure on President Nicolas Maduro to cancel a controversial vote for a new assembly that will have the power to rewrite the constitution.
The president needs to understand that millions of Venezuelans like me are against the fraudulent constitution the government wants to implement. And we're also against the new socialist government they want to create. It'll keep us in poverty.
With just days to go until the scheduled election, the strike is the latest in a series of organized opposition protests.
The world already realizes that this fraudulent process, what it wants is to establish a formal dictatorship in Venezuela, eradicate the last element of the republic, and move ahead in a radicalization process of the dictatorship, criminal dictatorship in our country.
Maduro still has millions of supporters in Venezuela. In the midst of the general strike, Maduro loyalists gathered in Caracas to show they stand behind the president.
The Constituent Assembly is going to put a stop to the high cost of life so that our money will be enough to live on.
As the 2-day strike comes to a close, the opposition is planning what it says will be massive demonstrations on Friday. Meanwhile, Venezuela's interior minister has said those who intend to boycott the elections will be arrested and subject to 10 years prison sentence. Millions of opposition supporters say they'll boycott the elections anyway. They say the Constituent Assembly is a means for President Maduro to consolidate his powers and will do nothing to bring down the triple-digit inflation or to alleviate the suffering caused by chronic shortages of food and medicine or to bring real change to Venezuela. Mike?
Juan, maybe you can expand on something we've heard from President Maduro. He says the Constituent Assembly will bring in a new economic model in Venezuela. You're talking about this inflation. Can you explain on what he means by all of that?
Well, according to President Nicolas Maduro, the Constituent Assembly will deepen the power that the Venezuelan government has to control private companies. And when he says to control private companies, he's referring to the finances of private companies. And by being able to control their finances, he says he will put a stop to what he calls an economic war, which he blames for Venezuela's current crisis. But critics of President Nicolas Maduro, they have said that this is not the first time that Maduro has taken these type of actions, and he is the only responsible why the current situation, economically speaking, here in Venezuela is a catastrophe, because according to the International Monetary Fund, the levels of inflation are expected to reach to 2,000% next year. So many experts here say that this announcement made by President Nicolas Maduro should be a scary one, because this measure could lead Venezuela into a deeper catastrophe.
Interesting. Juan Carlos Llamas, live for us there in Caracas. Well, meanwhile, hundreds of passengers stranded at Venezuela's international airport in Caracas. You can see the disturbance there. They are angry after airline Avianca announced an immediate end to its service to and from that country. The Colombian flagship airline joins other commercial airlines canceling services to Venezuela. Delta Airlines announced Thursday it will pull out of the country. Starting in September, United Airlines also stopped all flights to the country. That happened back in July.